Hello guys, my name is Tarandeep Singh. I'm working as a Salesforce developer. Today I'm going to showcase you how to create autocomplete field in Salesforce. As you know, Salesforce already have in Apex input field that will allow us to use as a autocomplete field as well as a drop-down. So you must have seen this type of code, Apex input text, that is having a parameter list in which we can pass the list of records, or even we can pass a string with a comma separations, and that will work as an autocomplete as well as a drop down. So there are some limitations, so that's why I thought of using the jQuery autocomplete functionality. To achieve that functionality, I have to use the jQuery plugin, like not like plugin, like I'm using the jQuery JavaScript and CSS files inside my static resources. So let me just showcase you the demo first, how this functionality works. So as you can see my screen, here I'm using a search account grid that will basically have only one field. Below that I'm just showing the account details. So let me just start searching something. So as soon as I start searching, it gives me the suggestions. So I can click on any suggestion and that will render my account detail. So basically this is the autocomplete field which I've created using jQuery. So I've created one Sales Visualforce component. This is my Visualforce component, which I'm adding into my Visualforce page. And whatever returns by the Visualforce component is the ID. And that ID I'm using to show the account details. You can use this component in any other code, and that component will return you the ID. And that ID we can use to render a UI, to show some details, and etc. We can do further functionalities. Okay, so let me just show you how I'm adding this static resource. So in Salesforce, I'm adding a static resource which is autocomplete. I'm using a RAR file that will contain the JavaScript, the jQuery JS and the jQuery CSS. Right. So let me just start with the Visualforce component. So I've created one Visualforce component, that is autocomplete component. For this, I've also created the autocomplete component controller for writing my business logics. So if you look here, so let me just explain you what I have done here. I'm using a public string variable search term. So this will store the entered value, entered keyword in this field. So whatever we enter here, this will get stored here, this search term. Now we have two methods. One is this one, get search suggestion, and other one I'm using a class. So this is a wrapper class I've created for account to store the account name and account ID. So this label stores the account name and this value stores the account ID. So label I'm showing on the UI whenever someone search something, and the value which was visible to user, this express, logistic and transport, is basically the label. And whenever we click on this one, we are returning back the ID of that search record to the Visualforce page. That is basically the value that we are returning back. And if we talk about the get search suggestion, so this is a method we have created. This is basically a remote action method. So what is remote action method? So remote action method is basically a special type of method that we can use in our JavaScript code. So like if we want to extend the functionalities in JavaScript and want to write some business logic or want to interact with some database, we can directly call autocomplete component controller dot the method name with the parameter. It will execute the data and will return back the list of account wrapper to our JavaScript. And in JavaScript, we can do further further implementations. So to create a remote action, we just need to use an annotation, that is remote action annotation. And this will work great with the JavaScript. That's a very good implementation of feature given by Salesforce. So what I've done in get search suggestion, let me explain you. So I've created a new list of account wrapper. Right. So and in the second line, I'm executing a SOSL query. So what is SOSL query? SOSL query is basically Salesforce Object Searching Language. So this is a type of SQL query, like for special type of SQL query you can say, that will help us to search for a particular keyword in our S objects. So right now you can see like I'm just executing one query, find the search string which was entered by user in all the fields. We can restrict this to all fields, or we can just make it like we want to search for the name fields only, or as per our requirement. If you want to search, and right now I'm doing for all fields, so it should search in all the fields of accounts for this particular string, returning back the account. So I'm searching in the account only, so it will return back only account. And what all values I need from the account? So I need only the ID and name, because this is the only requirement for my demo. So if I'm checking that list is null or not. So list should not be null, because if this was null, then no need to iterate this and no need to get fetch data. So I'm just having a null check. So if this is not null, then I'm iterating the list of S objects, and from this list I'm getting all the objects. Right? So suppose in the for iterating the list we got, show you this. So we got 50 plus records from here, that basically iterates here. So I'm iterating the records that I'm getting from the database, and I'm checking that the name should be equals to account. This will definitely be account in my case, because I'm just returning only one account. But if we are working on multiple accounts, we need to check this one and have to put it in some different list, or have to parse this in different, because now I'm basically using the account object and parsing this object in account object. So if we do it with some lead object, it will give you exception. So you need to be careful, like whenever you're doing this, you should use if else for multiple records. So if you want to extend this project, if you want to extend this controller component, you can, if you want to work it like it should also search in lead, campaigns, and other subjects, you can just add a comma in all the fields, all the objects with all the fields, returning fields. It will work fine with all the objects. So I'm checking here the object type. If it is account object, then parse it to account object and add it to the account wrapper. So how it will add to account wrapper? So I'm creating a new account wrapper object and passing the account name and account ID. So as soon as I pass the account name and account ID, the name will save as the label and the ID saved as value, and it creates a account wrapper object. I'm adding this to the account wrapper list. I'm returning this list. It's a simple method I've created. So now let's go back to the Visualforce page. So this is a Visualforce component I've created. In this, I'm using the style sheet of JQuery using two JavaScript classes of JQuery. Okay, and for UI creation, I'm using only one page block section, which will not have any collapsible functionality, and also have a title, search account, and also have an input field. So I'm going to show you the UI. So this is what I've created: search account and the input field. Input field have an ID and the value as a search string, search term. So whatever we write here, it gets stored here. Now in the bottom, I'm having a JavaScript. So this is basically a jQuery I'm using. So this is a jQuery function I'm calling, and that function is a predefined function in jQuery library, which is autocomplete. Right. So in this function, let me explain you what basically I was doing. Firstly, I'm initializing the min length value to 2. So we can change this value to the number of alphabets we need to enter to search. Like I start searching, I write TA, it gives me the results. If I'm searching only T, it won't give me results. What is the minimum characters you need to enter to make the autocomplete working? So am I using only 2, but you can change as per requirement. Then I'm calling 3 functions. One is the focus, one is the select, one is the source. focus gets called when we are basically focusing on any suggestion. So as you see, when I focus on some suggestion, it changes the value of the input field, and the select function get called when we select some record from the suggestion. And the source is basically used to generate the values in the autocomplete field. Okay, so what I was doing is, in this source function, I'm getting the request and the response. From the request, I'm getting the term. So term is basically whatever user is writing. Suppose I write TA. So TA, it returns the TA and stores in the searching string. Now in the next line, you can see I'm calling the method of my controller. As you see here, I'm using a remote action, right? So I'm directly calling this from my JavaScript function autocomplete component controller dot get search suggestion. I'm passing this search string and passing this callback function. So this will be having a return. This will work for the return type. So I'm using a search string. So whatever, so this field comes here. So the search string is basically what user has entered. So if I enter TA, so this search string will go in this method and call this method and execute this piece of code and returns a list of account wrapper. So this method called when we get some return type. This will have the result and the event. So if the event.status was true, so this status is okay, right? Then we execute this piece of code. Else we will set the response with as a blank array. And if we talk about the if the status was okay, then we go inside and check the result. If result was undefined or result length, so result is a list. So if list was undefined or list size is less than equal to 0, so that means there's no record. So we add one record in the response array that will have a value no record found. So let me show you how that works. If I add anything which is not a logical name in any account, so you can see show no record found. So I just added one value in the autocomplete suggestion that says no record found. But if the result size is greater than 0, I'm just setting the response value to the result. So result is basically a list of account wrapper. So I'm setting the response with this result, and that result will be visible on my UI. Okay, so I'm also using the select function that will work when we select some record. So in this, what I was doing is UI.item.label. Let me tell you what. So UI.item will give me the record which was selected. So this is UI. The item which was selected. I want the objects. This is object type. From that, I need the label. If the label is not equal to no record found, because for no record found, we don't need to do any functionality. So you can see if I select this one, and it will not do anything. It will not enter my UI. So if the selected record was not no record found, then do my functionality and return false. So what is the functionality I want to do? I was basically getting the account search input field. So this is account search input field, and setting the value as UI.item.label. So whenever we select this one, so whatever I select from the drop down from the suggestion got set in this field. I will tell you later on why this field gets blank. So when we select the item from the suggestion, this field value get changed, right? And it calls show account detail. So where's show account detail? I was not able to find that. I will tell you later on. So I'm just passing the value. Value is basically the ID of that account. And this focus comes in when we are focusing on a particular item from the suggestions. So you can see the UI, the input fields value gets changed when we focus on any of the suggestion. Similar way, it just change the value of the label, but it doesn't call any of the function, right? And one thing I want to tell you, you need to use only the label and value as a field, because the jQuery autocomplete function only knows these label and value and works only on these two fields, because right now I'm not telling them to get the label and show it on the UI and don't show the value. It's doing automatically. I'm just passing the object and just showing work automatically because it has internal functionality already available. Okay, so now if you want to use this component in your Visualforce page and to do some functionality, you need to connect this component, and whatever was written, whatever was selected, you need to send back to the Visualforce page, the caller page, basically from where we calling this page. So this method is basically implemented in our Visualforce page. So let me show you how the Visualforce page looks like. So this is my Visualforce page that is having a Apex page, a controller connected, a form, a page block with a message at the top, a component, Apex function, and a page block section. Right? So what I was doing is, this basically creates the UI of this structure, the component area, and this account detail grid. This visual page is creating this UI. Okay, so by default this value is rendered as false, right? So when we return back the data, when someone select the record from here, then only this field get rendered. Right? So let me show you how this was working. So whenever we embed our autocomplete component in a Visualforce page, right, and when someone selects some value from the autocomplete jQuery plugin or the component, we are calling show account detail and passing the value. Show account detail is basically a JavaScript method I've implemented in my parent Visualforce page. You can see here that accepts the account ID. So as soon as someone select on this one, some record in the suggestion, it calls this method. From this method is get the value, get the ID of that record and passes to this method. From this method, I'm calling an action function. Action function is basically just like a JavaScript function implemented in Salesforce. So you can see here I'm calling this JavaScript from JavaScript function. I'm calling this action function. Whenever this action function get called, I'm calling a method in my controller. So let's see what this method works. How this method works. Let's go to autocomplete account and search for the show account detail. So this is my autocomplete account. It has one method, show account detail. So what that does is, whenever we call this action function, at the same time we are assigning the value of account ID to the selected account ID. So this is selected account ID is basically a variable. So this is a string variable I'm using in my controller. So as soon as this method function get called, I'm just setting the value of the first parameter. So this is the first parameter. So this value gets assigned to the selected account ID, right? And then this method get called. As soon as this method get called, I'm just retrieving the account details from database where the ID was this selected account ID. So whatever record we select from here, we get the ID, we pass that ID to the Visualforce page JavaScript function. From JavaScript function, we are assigning it to the selected account ID using param. Then we are calling this show account detail. From show account detail, I'm just retrieving the accounts with this selected account ID. This will give me the complete detail of that selected account, and I'm just making the account visible true. So as soon as I make this visible, so this after this action function, my form get re-rendered. This again refresh, and it creates re-render this UI, this form, and and this fields get blank or recreated, and the Apex block page block section I'm rendering as true, so this will be visible to user with all the fields of selected accounts. Selected account basically a variable that we are creating. It's not a variable, it's basically account variable. Yeah, I can say account variable that is basically getting the selected account details, and from there I'm getting the account name, website, and other details, and showing as an output field. Now, if you want to extend this functionality to do some other, you need to read some other functionalities, like you need to add some data on the chatter, or if you want to send an email, or you want to add change some fields and all, you can directly do it in here only. So whenever we call the action function in this method, you can do whatever you want. You're getting the ID from here, whatever was selected from the JQuery plugin, you're getting it here. You can directly do it whatever you want. So this is all about creating a Visualforce component for autocomplete and connecting it with the Visualforce page. I hope this must be clear, and if you need any help, you can comment below. I will definitely reply you back, or you can follow me on my blog blog.tarandeep.com. I will share all the details in the uh, description below. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye.